Welcome back to The Explainer, brought to you by Forge College. Let's situate ourselves real quick. We're currently working through the Introduction to Web Evolution module of our Blockchain Fundamentals track. Now, in our last explainer, Rise of Interactivity, we looked at how Web 2 gave us this incredibly vibrant interactive web, but kind of accidentally turned platform owners into all-powerful digital landlords. Well, today is all about the blueprint for the Web 3 engine, and how it systematically plans to, essentially, fire those landlords. We're diving into the principles of Web 3, decentralization, ownership, and incentives.
Okay, let's dive right into this blueprint. We've got 6 parts to cover today. We're going to start with the limits of centralization, move right into distributed trust, explore native ownership, and then unpack token incentives. After that, we'll walk through a real-world workflow to see it in action before wrapping the whole thing up with the governance meta mechanism.
So, Section 1, the limits of centralization.
Think about the structural problem here. The Web 2 era basically concentrated almost all control into the hands of a few massive operators. In the centralized model, if a platform doesn't like your content, or just decides they want to change the monetization rules overnight, they just hit delete on their database. Game over. But the decentralized model flips that script. It replaces that single corporate boss with distributed protocol rules.
Which brings us to Section 2, decentralization and distributed trust.
So how do we actually pull that off? How do we physically and logically distribute that control? Well, we use something called distributed trust. Instead of blindly relying on a single platform landlord to keep the lights on and play fair, you rely on transparent code and a massive network of independent validators. The system literally runs itself based on consensus rather than the whims of one corporate entity. And honestly, the most magical number in this entire setup is 0. 0 single points of failure. Because multiple independent nodes are holding copies of the system state, absolutely no single actor has unilateral control over your data or identity. You can't just accidentally trip over a power cord in one data center and take the whole network down.
All right, moving right along to Section 3, native digital ownership. Now, you might be wondering, if there's no central database, who actually owns the assets in this new schematic? Now, what's really interesting here is the contrast. In Web 2, your ownership of a digital item, it was basically just a highly revocable row in a company's database. They could wipe it out tomorrow. But a native asset uses cryptographic keys on an immutable ledger. You own the private key, you own the asset, period. It's undeniable cryptographic ownership.
But let's be real for a second. Why would anyone spend their own computer power, storage, and electricity to help maintain this network, right? I mean, servers don't run on good vibes. Having a cool decentralized system is awesome, but getting independent people to actually run it requires some serious motivation.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, incentives and token models.
This is the economic engine that keeps the whole machine running. It runs on programmatic rewards, things like token models, staking for security, fixed supply economics, and burn mechanics. These economic and social rewards perfectly align participant behavior, basically ensuring that if you help secure the network, you get paid. And more importantly, they make absolutely sure the cost of attacking the network far exceeds any expected financial gain. So, when we pull all 3 of these pillars together and compare the 2 models, the structural shift is just massive. Authority moves from a single operator to distributed validators. Ownership moves from a fragile database record to your own crypto keys. And the money? It shifts from platform fees going to a central company straight into token-based protocol rewards. Okay, Section 5, the Web 3 real-world workflow. Let's shift from theory to practice and make this concrete. Let's track a piece of digital art as it moves through this new machine. Step 1, you upload the file to distributed storage. Step 2, you mint a token that references that exact file. Step 3, list it on a decentralized marketplace. And Step 4, community governance dictates the marketplace fees. Notice what's happening. At every single stage of a creator's journey, the locus of truth shifts away from a centralized record. We're bypassing the middleman completely. A super vital part of this working is content addressing. On the old web, you pointed to a URL, basically a location on a server. If a platform swapped the image at that link, well, you were totally out of luck. Content addressing separates the file from the location. It uses a cryptographic hash, a unique digital fingerprint of the file itself. If even one single pixel changes, the fingerprint breaks. You just can't get that kind of immutability guarantee on a standard Web 2 server. And this isn't just theoretical. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about.
When we look at a minimal solidity smart contract for a basic asset, zooming in specifically on the mint and transfer functions, we are looking at the exact, literal schematic where digital ownership and creator royalties are permanently hard-coded into the system.
Breaking down the code, you can see unique token IDs, ownership mappings, and royalty splits. The absolute magic here is that the contract's code, its storage assignment, is the native ownership record. There is no external database hiding behind a curtain somewhere. When the code executes a transfer, the ownership updates and the money flows exactly as programmed, completely automatically.
Finally, Section 6, Governance, the meta mechanism. So here's the final piece of the puzzle. If everything is immutable, completely distributed, and totally automated by code, how do we ever fix a bug or upgrade the system? Well, the answer is governance. Token holders and DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, can actually vote to alter incentive rules, upgrade the protocol, or allocate treasury funds. It acts as the meta mechanism, allowing the community to safely evolve the system without needing a centralized CEO to call the shots.
So what does this all mean? What are our key takeaways today? Number 1, decentralization permanently shifts authority and trust. 2, native ownership turns digital assets into undeniable, verifiable claims. And 3, well-designed, calibrated incentives ensure that desired behavior translates into economic realities, meaning everyone plays by the rules and gets rewarded fairly.
I'm going to leave you with this somewhat provocative thought. Where is the ultimate canonical record of truth in the apps you use every single day? Is it locked on a corporate server that someone else entirely controls? Or is it verified on an open, immutable ledger? Keep that in mind as you prep for our next lesson in the track, Connecting the Dots, from historical shifts to decentralized applications. If you want to dive deeper into this blockchain fundamentals track, head on over to forge.college. Thanks so much for learning with me today on this explainer.